Perfect. So just a reminder, the next partner roundtable, May 30th. So if you haven't RSVP'd yet, definitely go ahead and do that. We'll get a link out to you. There are some new features and a pretty important bug fix that we're going to talk about today. Um, there was a changelog entry published early this morning, but again, if you haven't had a chance to check that out, we're going to go through it here. The first thing is we heard your feedback about the AI powered search turning off after the first one, after the first prompt. So we've now set it to remain on, which means if you're in the chat and you're using the AI powered search, you don't have to keep turning it back on. Once it's turned on, its default state will be on. We've also done a couple of other things to improve the performance with the AI powered search. So it will use more tools than just the original set of Brave, Perplexity, and Firecrawl. If there are issues with speed and things, it'll switch over to a couple of other tools. Um, but yeah, it will stay on now as the default if you turn it on. You can then just turn it back off if you don't need to keep using the AI powered search, which again is live internet search. The next change is adding workflow run history. This is helpful for a couple of reasons, and this only exists in the workflows. We're testing this out in beta, but it is available in the workflows. What this means is you can open up, and we'll look at this in real time, but you can open up a workflow and look at the run history, so you can see if a workflow was completed, when you ran it, how many steps it had, how long it took to run, and then you can get more granular. You can even click in and look at a couple of things. Whoops. You can look at the number of credits that the whole workflow used. You can look at the number of credits each step of the workflow used, and you can look at which model, what your inputs were, whether it was a short answer, paragraph, and then you can look at the outputs. So this came from a lot of feedback we had about, hey, I'm using the apps and I can't keep the history. You can now keep your workflow run history. So if you like the output of one automation, you can go back and copy it, even if you run it multiple times. This is also helpful if you want to change a model. So if you want to switch from GPT-4o to, Claude Sonnet, and compare outputs, you don't have to keep copying and pasting. You can just click in and look and compare directly in the platform. So it makes it easier to pick a model, do some A/B testing on this model versus that model, or this set of inputs and that set of inputs to compare what the outputs are. And we'll look at what that looks like in the platform. But this is just a quick screenshot of that. Um, the other two updates are in the end customer tenant. End customers can now enable multi-factor authentication. That's a big change. Previously, it was just admins, so now end customers can set this up and enable it. And end customers can also generate their own API keys. This is really important. Why do your customers need API keys? It's really important because it opens up a whole new world of automations through things like Zapier and Make.com and other tools. But if they have access to that API key, Hats integrates with Zapier. We got some more people coming in. Hats integrates with Zapier, so your customers can create automations. And Sharice will not yet, but we will look at that one. I'll have to do some digging on that platform, but they can use their tool, the Zapier tools and the API key to do things like workflows with Salesforce, pull in data into Hats and send it out via Slack. It's just an example. Um, Outlook to a whole array of Hats automations to Airtable to Mailchimp. You get the idea here, right? You can, once you have that API, um, Zapier has like 8,000 different integrations. So you don't need Hats to integrate directly with those. And the customers can go and set that up without any real coding that's needed. They just need to take the key. So this, previously you could take something like a Typeform, survey and have a pre-written email, put information into HubSpot, whatever. Adding that AI layer, that AI step in between, can elevate those processes. Um, there are a couple of examples that we can talk through, but I just wanted to make sure you all understood what that means for, customers can go and get their own API keys now. And finally, the bug fix that I mentioned at the beginning, there was a bug with file upload in the chat and the workshop, where if you uploaded a file, even if it was under our file size limit, sometimes it was failing. And so we've fixed that now. That is now corrected, and you should not have any problems with something under 30 megabytes. Um, okay, so any questions on those updates? And I know we had some people come in partway through, but any questions on that?
Mark, on the 30 megabyte file size, I thought it was 5 megabytes. It's 30 megabytes.
It's 30. Yeah.
Okay.
It used to be 5. We did upgrade it to 30, and that will be upgraded again at some point, but right now it's 30.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool. All right, so I'm going to switch screens here and share this instead, just to show you where some of these things are. And by the way, if you're not familiar, I know we have some new faces here, so if you're not familiar with our changelog, I'll drop this in the chat. You can go here. And Charisse, the search info that I gave, just the default now, if you use the AI powered chat, or AI powered search, it will stay turned on, instead of having to turn it on each time. So once it's turned on, you send a prompt, info comes back, this button will stay turned on. Cool. So this is the changelog. You can go here and see what all of the updates are, and you can also submit feedback requests and take a look at the roadmap. And just if you're not familiar with Zapier, there are 8,303 apps, SaaS apps that you can connect to. Make.com is very similar in that way. So Hats does have an integration here, and we'll take a look at that. So there, right there, you can connect Hats AI to 8,000 plus different apps and run a workflow this way. We do have documentation about that. If you're curious, there's an article about setting up an integration, what you can use it for, and how to set it up. So this is these are some of the updates since the last time we've all talked. Anyone have any questions or anything about that? It's mostly straightforward. Cool. So let's look at where customers can find that new info. This is the customer dashboard, right? This looks different than your admin dashboard. So you're in the customer dashboard. You can go to the workspace, and right here on the workspace, you have your two-factor authentication, and that's where they can set that up. And then they can also click into API keys, generate a key, delete them. There's no limit to how many you can make. It's all right here. So that should open up some new opportunities for people to find value and integrate with their own systems pretty quickly. Cool. So that's where I'll stop with the updates. Does anyone have any use case questions or prompt engineering support, anything that you would like to talk through? If not, I do have one that I've been working on that I would be more than happy to share. Um, and I'll pull this back up. This is something that I've been trying to figure out using the AI powered search. I'm going to go to the workshop and into the workflows. So if you were here a couple weeks ago, we built this prospect research automation that um, an MSP can use to drop information in about a prospect company. The AI will go out and search the web to find information about that company and then put together a pitch. So I thought, well, what's the step before that? Um, and the step before that is, actually finding out who to even talk to at that company and what companies exist in a certain geographic region. So I started putting together this workflow that goes out. It's an expert recruiter, search the web for candidates or companies in a particular region. So it's going to search for a certain kind of business in a location that I choose and make a list of the top results. It's going to create a table with these columns and it's going to use the internet to do that. So I have this turned on. Then it's going to search for employees. And this is the part that I'm trying to, figure out to get through this. Searching by location, using the table to search business by location. We're going to look for a certain type of professional and then go to LinkedIn and search for their info. It gets a little bit hard because LinkedIn, most of the time you have to log in to get some of that info. You can get like name, company, job title, but if there's anything more than that, it's not as accurate. So this is where I'm at this point. Um, we can see what happens if I try to run this. So we'll just drop this in. Let's say I want to find, law firms in Philadelphia, and I want to find any professional title. We're going to run that. And while that's running, I know there's some questions in the chat. Daniel said, "When is the 365 SharePoint integration planned for?" It is Q3. It is Q2 rather. So it is this quarter. Daniel, we're working on. Uh, yeah, I just wishful. We're working on uh, a lot of different aspects of the Microsoft Graph API. If you're curious about what that does, what its capabilities are, um, hold on, go back here. There we go. If you're interested, what that does, just look up the Microsoft Graph API. And yeah, Daniel, you're always top of mind for those kinds of uh, beta tests. Um, the next thing that we have up is broader and deeper access to files, um, better handling for the different kinds of files that you're gonna access, Teams, calendar, all those sorts of things. So really a a lot coming this quarter. Now that we've built the foundation out for this kind of thing. And hey, after this runs, we can actually check out the run history. Anyone tried the workshop this week? Build anything? Notice anything buggy with it, or build anything cool?
I'm working on a workshop to take zipped text files from our Essential Query. Basically what we do is we run, when we get a new client, we run a query on all of anything that'll answer to an IP on that network and try to use that as documentation. One, to know what speed that connection is at, and two, just, general documentation. So that all comes back to a shared mailbox. And so then I'm working to drop that to SharePoint, and then be able to suck that in and take those individual zipped files, unzip them, take the text file and build a spreadsheet out of it.
Very cool. I'd love to talk through those steps. That's definitely multi-step, and we might need to
I
work on
start
that.
now with, okay, I got the text file,
Mhm.
and then I keep
Yeah.
going backwards from it. I got it to do it in actual Chat GPT, was able to take the zip file, have it unzip it,
Yeah.
and build my table. So now I'm taking
Yeah.
it over to Hats and see what I can build for, so then the text can just use that directly.
That's great. I'm gonna do some testing with that. It's just a zip text. I don't know if you guys can hear that. It's so loud. It's just a zip text file. So I'll do some testing with that. This is taking a really long time to run, but that's all right. Charisse put in the chat, noticed a buggy search got a bunch of malformed stream chunk pop-ups. You were not the only one. We did fix that, and this is definitely the place for that. So there were, I think at one time I had like 7 of them pop up at once. Um, it was a really small fix, so we got that out. So you shouldn't see those errors anymore. It was still, for the most part, it was still giving the result. It was just putting that error up. This is still working. I mean, anytime you have it going out and searching for like big, searching through a lot of data like this, it's gonna take a while. I might just cancel this one and
So did you have to use your LinkedIn credentials then for that?
no, it's
Or
just,
you're just using just the public information?
yeah, just the public. I mean, I can search like Hats AI, basically what I've told, see, like that. I can get that information. I can get a phone number just from a Google search. Um, I could get, it's on Zoom Info. It's on, like there's a bunch of places that you can get some of this info from. Um, yeah.
Hey, Mark, what's your rule of thumb when you would time out or something like that?
Um, typically, typically it's a couple of minutes. The reason that I'm resetting this one is because previously when I've done this, it's been like 2 minutes, and that was going on a little bit longer than that. So just I knew approximately how long it would take. Usually just I haven't had anything go longer than 3 minutes on a search. Let's try something else. Let's do schools, and let's do New York. And we'll try that. Yeah, Lisa, that's a really cool use case. Let's talk through that a little bit. Let's see if this finally runs, but we'll talk through what happens, with the text once you actually get it in the format that you need it. Yeah. Yeah, Daniel, Claude does struggle sometimes with some things. We're aware of that, and we're working with Anthropic on possibilities for why that might be happening. Oh, here we go. Okay, see, this was way quicker this time. I got schools in New York City, and then I think my prompting behind the scenes says businesses, so it might be throwing it off with schools. But there we go. I have NYU, Columbia, etc. I can click on these websites, and it takes me there. And then, is it going to give me this information that I need? Hey, look at that. Isn't that crazy? Got the provost and the info. So you can use this, where this use case originally came from was an MSP who wanted to they expanded they expanded their reach into another city, and they wanted to find out, like, they primarily work with law firms, and so they wanted to get a list of like all of the law firms and who to contact them, so who the office managers were. That's a little bit harder because they wanted like actual phone numbers and, really specific info, but we're getting there. We are getting there, and there's also some use cases with like intent data. Um, Show me the prompts. Yeah, 100%, James. Let me pull this up here, and you guys can also. I'm going to publish this to the community once I get it working, but feel free to take a screenshot. I'll zoom in on these if you want to try this yourself, and if you find anything that works better. This is the first one, and I just have these running on GPT-4o. I have not tried other models yet. I've just kept it at the default. So this is the first one. I've given it a persona, told it what its job is. And by the way, even if you have AI powered search enabled in the chat or in a workflow, depending on the model, sometimes it helps to tell it to go out and search the web, because some of the system prompts for these LLMs they say that they need permission to do tool calling that's beyond the scope of what the LLM can do. So like with Grok, for example, sometimes if you just turn AI powered search on and you click generate, it's going to say, great, would you like me to go out and search the web? You're like, yeah, that's why I turned it on. But it's built into the system prompts where, if it just needs to be told to go out and do it. So if you build it in here, you can really bypass that. I've also given it some tone here. I've said that any mistake reflects poorly on your company and poorly on you. There's people have differences of opinion about how to phrase these, but I think I tend to get better results when I do this. Told it what its output should look like. So you can see even in these workflows, I'm following that best practice of, persona, tone, giving it examples, telling it what its output should look like. Then we go down here to the next one, and here, James, you can grab a screenshot of this one too. And our automation's unable to use. Yeah, right now this is just in the workshop. We're testing out the new stuff over here in the workshop, and eventually you'll have more of a unified. Or we're testing all of the new stuff out in the workflows. You'll have more of a unified platform in the workshop and between the automations and the chat and the workflows and everything, in a couple of updates. But right now we're testing out the new stuff here. So these are the next steps. So using the table, and what you can see that I've done here is this green section, because this one is connected downward from the step one, I can insert that entire output. So when I had that, when we looked at the run history, step one was all of the schools, right? That entire table is the output, and that's what's going in here. So you can take the output from step one, click on this output, and throw it in. So I've told it to search the internet for the best employee contact at each business, and you're looking for people with titles like, and that's where that type of professional, who are you looking for? Office manager, VP, CIO, etc. I've given it a couple different examples of how to search. So I said, try going to LinkedIn, or try searching for LinkedIn. And then you can also search business name plus type of professional. Lastly, see if there's contact info, just generic contact info. I've told it that its output should be another table. That's why both outputs were tables. And add 3 columns to the original table: employee name, job title, and phone number. And again, don't make up any info. So what could I do from here? If I wanted to make this even more powerful, I could add another one, and it could be outreach. And I could do something like, for each professional identified in the employee search output, draft an email with this info. And then you could create another input, and this would be where you would put sort of the information about what you would want to reach out about. So, hey, maybe it's managed services. Maybe if you're setting this up for a customer, maybe it's something like, if they install industrial windows, right? You got one of those clients, like you can have it do some more research and write an email about, their building size and when it was built, and when the windows need to be replaced and all that information, right? There's a bunch of different things that you can do with this, but you could have it write the email, and those draft emails would just be in another output. So as you're using these and building these and identifying, like, some bugs, or seeing what might be helpful or useful, just send those things over. You can email me. You can email help@hats. Just, hey, I found this bug, just letting you know. Or, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we could do X, Y, and Z with these workflows? So just, always drop that stuff over to me or to help. Any questions about that? When I get this, working pretty consistently, I will publish it to the community, and you guys can take it and add to it. So we'll go back to the run history, and there we go. It ran 9 minutes ago, took a minute, and here's all of my outputs. So, yeah. Yeah, that's really what I wanted to cover today. I don't want to keep everyone here unless you have
I'm
questions.
sorry, where did you get that history from? Where was that?
Oh, yeah. If you go to the workshop,
Okay.
and then under
Oh,
workflows,
okay. Run
yeah.
history. Okay, perfect. And then can I see that for everybody across my company?
So you can see it for
You.
each, yeah, for
Oh, okay.
you. And you can do it for each app that's in the workflow.
Okay.
I haven't thought about this yet. I can see the benefit to looking at it across your company for sure. If it's an app that's shared, right? So each user can have private apps, private workflows. So you wouldn't be able to see those. But I can see the benefit to having a workflow history for an app that's shared across, the whole company. The only, there's like, we're always cognizant of security and privacy with those kinds of things. So let's say you have an HR app, and someone's using it to find out what the policies are for something that's a little bit sensitive. It might not be great, it might be legal, it might be fine that way, but to know that it's almost the same as like opening up the HR book on your handbook on your desk and looking at, like, you don't really want someone to know exactly what you're looking at. So if that app is shared across, so I'm going to talk to our team about what the plans are for that.
Within our company, that our HR person asked that exact question. If I develop an app for HR use, for example, her use case was to be able to describe her persona and then put in the job roles and responsibilities, then have it ask for, up to 10 resumes and do an evaluation of them. And then the next step would be evaluate the transcripts from the interviews and do another evaluation. And
Yeah.
and so and before she started working on it, she wanted to make sure that nobody else could see it.
Yep. Yeah. I'm gonna find that. I'm gonna find out what our plans are for that. At the very least, if you have a private app, it's private. So you could have it just for yourself. Um, but I'm gonna write that down just to find out. Um, and in the chat we had yeah, Daniel, I just want an agent to read and draft responses to my emails. We are not that far away from that, truly. That's yeah, not that far away. And then James, for admins, it seems like audit logs may still help. Yeah, not seeing exact results. So that's what we're gonna add, and exactly that, especially if it's going to token-based pricing. So there's a couple of things that we're gonna give you visibility into. Those are how much people are using the platform. So you can see that now, right? If you go into admin, you click on a tenant, and I'll show you that here. Actually, let me log into admin first. So okay, we're gonna share again. So if I go in here and I go to tenants from admin, I can see all of my tenants. And if I want to go into my live demo account and then click on adoption on the left-hand side, what I can see here for this month, and we're halfway through the month, so this is not too bad for credit usage, truly. These are the number of credits used. This is the visibility so far. What we're going to be adding is the number of credits in the chat versus the workshop. Hopefully giving you visibility on what we call the number of calls, which is like, hey, someone, like, let's say Mark used 10,235 credits, but he only sent a prompt to the AI 5 times. Well, that means each one of those 5 times, it's like 2,000 credits. So he's doing something that's taking a huge amount of power. Like, what's he uploading? What's he doing? The other thing is input versus output credits. So if I have 10,000 credits and 9,000 of those are input and only 1,000 are output, that means I'm uploading a lot of long files. And the AI has to do a lot of work to read and analyze those files. If it's the other way around, I have 1,000 input and 9,000 output, it means I'm giving it some information, but I'm having it create maybe contracts or long proposals to RFPs that are thousands and thousands of words long. So we want to give you the ability to kind of see that. And I think, James, you put something in the chat there too, being able to see what chat, like a subject. Yeah, exactly. Like keywords. Someone suddenly used 40,000 credits in an hour. Could we tweak the usage? That's exactly what we want to show you. And like name of a chat or an app and token usage. Yep, exactly. So, any of that info, I'm actually going to take the recommendations from this and send it back to our engineer who's working on the UI for this. But that's all great feedback to have.
Yeah, because a lot of times we don't even know how much is something we're doing is really going to take a lot of credits or not. And I'm
Yeah.
sure that as we're rolling this out, others will have that same concerns.
Yeah, and we want to also show you this is coming really soon. Charisse, reviewing huge documents takes more tokens than a short prompt long. Not necessarily, right? Because you can have a huge document short answer or short document long answer, right? It depends on how you prompt it and what you want it to do. So what we're adding in the chat, it won't be this week, but relatively soon. And Jimmy is actually taking the lead on this one, but we're gonna add like clarity here and recommendations for, hey, this one, like, if you have something that takes 100 credits, where can you get the most bang for your buck on that? There's like a little calculation. We'll show you which ones are more expensive or cheaper. Eventually we're going to add in like speed and use cases and things that you can see right from the chat. Yeah. More Protus inputs turn. Yeah. So thanks to everyone who has put these feature requests in. That is it is really helpful. And again, to do that, it's just here on this change log and then feedback. I know there are a lot here. Some of these are duplicates, and we just need to go through and like clean it up a little bit. We're pretty good about that. When a release comes out, we go through and see if anything that we just released was a request here. But yeah, so that's really where we are in terms of like credit usage. We're giving you the first little bit of visibility into it in these workflows with the run history. So you can see those. So you can see like where things have landed, right, with credit usage. Yeah, and yeah, thank goodness we have AI to help. I mean, for me, something like this, if I'm using, and I'm gonna test this. I have a if I go over here, admin, go to user view. In my chat, I have um, one of these that I was using the other day for. It had to do with taking training data. So, MSPs say, hey, how many people at my company have completed level 2 of the training? Well, some MSPs, like there's like 50 people that they have going through the training and they've taken a bunch of different courses. And so I'm just dropping that data in instead of having to go through line by line and figure out who took what training and all of that. And it takes like 15 seconds. So I'm going to turn that into an automation in the workshop, and I'm going to test how many credits it uses and then actually find out how much time that's saving me. So I can say these credits equate to this many dollars worth of my time, if that makes sense. This many minutes, and that's this many dollars in my company. That's so giving you the visibility into here should show you like, is this something that's saving me time? Is it something like, hey, AI phone agent templates, these can take 30 minutes to write, and this one took 46 credits and it took 18 seconds. So there is, we're trying to connect the dots between usage and ROI. Mm. And of course, if anyone has any questions that you don't want to share to the group, just ping me afterward and we can talk. Kelsey, do you have anything you want to add about upcoming events, things that are going on?
It is pretty loud where I'm at, which is why I've stayed kind of quiet. But as far as upcoming events, I know you mentioned that we've got the roundtable on the 30th, which is exciting. Next month, we will be on the road a little bit. We will be at PAX 8 Beyond in Denver and Roost's Flow event in Tampa. So if any of y'all will be there, be sure to come by, grab whatever you want, bring back to the office. We'll have lots of good stuff to produce. Yeah, that's all I've got.
Did you send out a invite for the partner roundtable?
I did. It might have gone to spam, but I just put it in the chat here. And we'll be sending another one out on Monday of next week.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, if no one has any other questions, I think we'll end it a bit early on a Friday afternoon after a long week, a long, rainy, stormy week here in Philly. I haven't seen the sun in 7 days.
Well, it's coming your way.
I hope so. Yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks for jumping on. We're gonna give out some guidance on the API keys that you can share with your customers. Just like, hey, this is available now. If you use any of these platforms, here's how to like Zapier, Make.com, whatever. Here's how to go and do that. All of that'll be sent out to everyone on this call.
Great session. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Great to see you. Bye.